A warm welcome to Feeling Terrific. Today I have another special guest. I'm very happy that he has also the interest in having this conversation today. His name is Sebastian Schötz. I will make a short intro about him, and then we will start with the most important question as always, right? So the title of this episode or this conversation today is Personal Branding, the Strategic Approach of Sebastian Schötz, right? So Sebastian is currently a recruiting manager at New Work and worked before also at Personio. So today we will talk about different topics, among them obviously personal branding and how his strategic approach looked like or is looking like, right? Because I think I can say it for now, it's still ongoing and I think it will never end. So this is a short intro about you, Sebastian. I hope I covered a little bit, and thank you for your time again, and I look forward to an authentic insight.
Thank you so much, Christian. So very happy to be here. So thanks for the invitation, and I'm also looking forward to a great conversation with you.
Perfect. Yeah, also thank you. And maybe let's start then with the most important question. Who are you?
That's not a really easy question, I would say, so not very trivial. It even has a philosophical facet on it. So, I would say who I am. I tie it really closely to what drives me, so to my purpose, let's say. I make it short here. So I'm Sebastian. I'm 29 years old. I'm based out of Augsburg, a beautiful city here in Bavaria, Germany. And as I said, I tie my personality, my identity close to my purpose. And therefore, I would say my purpose is I want to help others. So that's basically who I am. And maybe a quick fun fact here. You would see me, I would say, 95% of the year in white sneakers. So you could also say to me I'm the white sneakers guy.
So that's great. So we already learned something in a few seconds of the conversation. So thank you for that. And you also already made a quite good intro to the next question, basically. So on your LinkedIn profile, for example, right? Or as far as I know, please correct me if I'm wrong, you're calling yourself being a talent connector, right? So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, you saw that right. I call myself a talent connector because the thing here is we're humans are a social species, right? So we are wired to connect, in my opinion. So I see connecting as a really superpower. So we all experience that amazing things happen when the right people connect, and that's what I strive. So I strive to connect the right people, that those amazing things can happen. And this combined to with talent, because as you said in the intro, I'm a recruiting manager at the moment, so it's my profession to connect the right people. I see it as my main, or the most important topic for me is within talent acquisition is candidate experience. So candidate experience means for me that we shape remarkable experiences for candidates, obviously, but also for hiring teams. And the foundation of those remarkable experiences is connection, in my opinion. So really making meaningful connections with others, and that's what's all about. And then in the main sense, as a recruiter, as a talent connector, I strive to grow dreams from candidates, and strive to grow teams. So teams within or for the organizations that I'm hiring for.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the listeners already got the same message as I did receive after the few minutes we are talking, right? So I think or at least I really feel the passion on your side for what you do, right? So the question is though, profession without passion. What are your thoughts?
What do you mean without? What do you mean profession? Sorry, profession.
Yeah, profession without passion.
Yeah, it's not possible in my opinion, I would say. So you have to have a passion. Only then you will strive in the profession that you that you're in or that you choose to be in, I would say. So I'm very, very passionate guy, very, very passionate about, as I said, connecting the right people. And that's also why I, maybe differently to many other recruiters out there, that I really chose to go into this profession, into this area. So I did not fall into it, but I really chose the profession. So I was like in a totally other profession. It was like marketing and communications. And then I really chose purposefully that I want to go this route within people, and especially within talent acquisition.
Yeah, and we are happy that you chose that path. So I think I can say that for everyone. Now let's take a different perspective on
maybe Christian. Sorry that I interrupt you. I just wanted to make one more point, and maybe then it's become more clear, and hopefully also for the audience, that I'm really passionate about what I'm doing. So I hope it's okay for you. So I would give you a quick experiment, and also the audience. So the quick experience or a little experience would be, have you ever thought about what it would look like or what it would be if person A and person B would get to know each other? So they don't know each other yet, but how it would look like if they get to know each other. So I make a quick example, because I'm asking this myself all the time. So I was always all the time thinking, what would it be like? Would it be look like if my father, for example, would met my former boss, and they would discuss a topic like, let's say, like politics or something like that. So that's always in my mind, that I'm thinking like, how could I connect the right people, and not just in a business sense, also in my private life, that they could benefit from each other. Let's say like so. Maybe that's a quick thought experimentation for you and also the audience. Think about what it would look like or what it would be like if person A and person B would met.
Yeah, the good thing is that the audience can press pause now and think about it, and I can say thank you for the homework. I take it with me and I come back to you with a follow-up. Does that sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah, no, but that's also a very interesting perspective, and it also shows that we are influenced by a lot of things, right? And we can be a lot of things based out of or based on different things. So yeah, that's very deep, and we can take that offline if you want. Happy to do that.
Yeah, sure. I'm always about more, let's say, like deeper conversations, but most importantly, authentic conversations. And I think like you're doing just a tremendous job with your podcast to invite people and really go in this direction, that you have authentic conversations with other people.
Thank you for that. Let's take it to the next question then.
Sure.
So a different perspective on being a recruiter, right? So, I mean, there are different perspectives on that profession, right? What are your thoughts when I say being a recruiter isn't necessarily a lot of different than being a sales representative?
Yeah, good question. I would say I would agree with you up and apart. So if you would ask me what are the similarities between both two professions, I would say both professions, and a recruiter and a sales rep, there are both change catalysts, right? So it's all about change, because if you ask yourself, why do customers buy as a sales rep? And if you would ask yourself as a recruiter, why do candidates move? Then it's both for change, right? And I have met a lot of really great salespeople over the last couple of years, and also read some great sales books. And what stood out to me was this concept, or this book called Gap Selling by Keenan. And I think it's very transferable also to recruiting. So maybe just to make a quick point here. So gap selling, it's like, think of a current state you're in, and we're all sometimes thinking about a desired future state, what we can change to. So like at the heart of every sale, for example, there's also a gap within what I said before, between a current state and a desired future state. And that's also the case for a recruitment process, right? So there is a gap between what candidates have now and what they believe they want to go or what they want to grow in within their future. And this gap exactly represents the value of the whole recruitment process, the value for the candidates, because they can explore what it would look like to come nearer to that future desired state, and also for us recruiters and the organizations we recruit for, right? So I hope that makes it clear that there is like this concept of gap selling that I think is very transferable also to recruitment, and you can also call it gap recruiting. Actually, I made a post exactly about it 11 months ago, I think. And what was really cool that Keenan, the author of this book, also commented, and he said like, "Oh, Sebastian, well done. That's really good applied, like a sales methodology to recruiting." And he was also thinking like, "Hey, that makes sense, and that's also applicable, as I said, for a other profession."
Yeah. So when will you start your sales career then?
Very good question. So actually, I also over the last years, also the nearer past, I thought about it quite intensively. But the thing is, I was already in sales. So maybe to elaborate on that a bit more. So I sold, I think in 2015, I sold Apple products in the Apple store. So back then, and that's the funny thing about it, back then I was hired as a customer service rep. But at Apple, so in an Apple retail store, every new employee is starting on the sales floor called Red Zone at Apple. And so for the first month is always a new retail employee going on the sales floor. And do you know what? I enjoyed it so much that after the first month, I said to my manager, "Look, I know you hired me as a customer service rep, but I enjoyed it so much." And I think why I enjoyed it so much was like it's a more, so compared to customer service, probably I would say it's maybe a bit more proactive than reactive. And that's what I really like also about recruitment. So I'm like a really proactive recruiter. I hone my skills within active sourcing, for example. But yeah, back to that, to answer your question. So I was already in sales. I really enjoyed it. Maybe it was a different environment that I would probably go in sales now. So if I would make a change to sales, I would stay in the software industry. But yeah, in the end, they kept me at the Apple store back then as a sales specialist. So I had my first experience there selling stuff.
Yeah. Why is it that you would say you would like to stay in the software industry?
So I made the move to the software industry 2021, so not that long ago, I would say. And it just fascinates me, especially I would say, as I said before, like the talent connector is all about connection between people. And what fascinates me most about the software industry is the people that are working there. So of course, there's also in other industries there are also great smart minds, but especially within tech and software, yeah, there's so many ambitious people working towards a common goal for their organizations. Very smart, very diverse as well. That's also very important if compared to a more traditional industry, like I would say maybe, for example, the automotive industry here, especially in Germany, I would call more traditional on that. And that just fascinates me that great minds, inspiring minds are working in the software industry. And technology is just also, of course, very, very, very inspiring and helps us as people.
Yeah. No, that's very interesting. I would say I would have kind of the same thoughts when it comes to that question. So interesting. When it comes to personal development, a different topic now. So we come to that also a little bit later, what you've done for that, right? But per se, what would you say? How do you make sure to keep having the mindset of learning and learning and learning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that's that comes down to my curiosity, I would say. So it's really, I'm very naturally curious guy. That comes with a lot of upsides, but that also comes with some downsides, like that you sometimes maybe lack a bit of focus, because there's so many interesting things in our life that I would want to gain more knowledge on, right? But yeah, curiosity is just one of my formative personality traits, I would say. And to say it like this, like questions or curiosity yields questions, right? And asking questions yields answers. And those answers are like gaining knowledge. And that's really what's all about, what drives me. And in that sense, I would also say, like, in short, embracing a growth mindset. So really the ability to believe in that you or in your own learning ability, this growth mindset, you should embrace it and make it, a way of life.
Yeah. I'm wondering, do you have an example for us where your curiosity, you just mentioned, is one of your key personalities, right, was quite harmful?
Very good question. I would say yes, in a sense. So, like, harmful, I would say the curiosity was the driver so far, also in my career. So if you look at my CV, for example, I would say it's not like a really common CV. So, and that is because all of those changes I made, especially in the past, there were not only changes about companies. So I changed not only companies, but I changed professions. And I tie this exactly to the curiosity. So you could think of harmfulness here if I would say I jumped ship from being a marketer to now being a recruiter. So what would it be like if I'm now going to sales? So they would ask me, like, there is no real, for example, technology sales experience here. But I see it in a totally different way. I see it like all those skills that I have gained over my career, also within other professions, in a very great sense, they're like adaptable. So I think that could be harmful for some people. Or if I would, for example, interview for other roles, and the interviewer is just like they have more a fixed mindset on, hey, don't hire for those skills that this person has gained in other professions, then it would be probably harmful for me. But I'm a lucky guy so far. That's not the case, because I think, like, all the people that they hired me, they were more like they had the trust that I could grow into some roles also with those skills gained in totally other disciplines.
Yeah,
I hope that answers your question.
It does. And now I have a new one. So when it comes to that mindset, right? So being flexible, growth mindset, etc., what you just mentioned, would you say you are quite too modern with that mindset for the age where we are in? So too early, or what are your thoughts?
No, I wouldn't say so, because no, I wouldn't say so, because, as I said before, I met those people that they're thinking like exactly the same, or like having this mindset as well. So, and I know there are people out there. That's probably, by the way, also one of the cases why I chose going into the software industry. Once I recognized this pattern that this industry is probably more open than other industries to to see people grow, so that's what I would say. And I know that I'm not too early for it. Maybe yes, for some industries, as I said. Maybe also we are. Yeah, sometimes it just feels like really that we, for example, in the EMEA region, that we are like stepping a bit behind some trends, like sometimes I can understand what this question is coming from. Maybe that our US colleagues, for example, not everyone, I don't want to generalize here, but you get a bit of the sense that maybe our US colleagues our US peers, they're a bit of ahead of this because they're thinking a bit differently, more in this growth mindset, more in this that you can have multiple careers within one, right? And but yeah, to answer the question, I wouldn't say like I'm too early for this because there are already people who are living exactly this, especially within tech, and especially also I imagine already years before there were people who have multiple careers within one career.
Yeah, maybe coming back to personal development, right? So I'm curious, maybe not just I'm curious, also the audience, but what are you working on at the moment?
So at the moment, professionally, I would say I'm working on to hone my skills within the design space because in my new role at new work, I will not only focus on sales hiring or go-to-market hiring in the future, but also pivot or not pivot, but expand my knowledge into another area or domain, and that's design. I think that's also quite uncommon, to be honest. So I don't know that many recruiters out there who are like a hybrid between, let's say, like recruiting for business roles and also recruiting for tech roles, and especially this combination from sales and design. But yeah, so you asked me what I'm currently working on at the moment, and then I would say like professionally wise, I try to gain more knowledge about design because I will recruit for design roles in the future, especially in the UX UI space. And it's a very fascinating space because I would also describe, as I said before, like I was a marketer, and I think like this creativity mind sometimes is still there. And therefore, I think design is a really interesting domain for me to go into. And privately, to be honest, I'm also working on something. So privately, I'm currently preparing my wedding. So and that's also thank you, Christian. But why I'm saying this, because also there I learned so many interesting things. One example would be, so most people I know, especially my friends, for example, they're like planning their weddings over a longer period of time. So, for example, they're planning it, having the celebration, the wedding party, maybe next year, for example. But for me, it was like we're doing this in a really great speed, I would say. So I proposed in January, and we are already having the wedding in May. So that's quite a short time span, I would say. And what I'm learning from this is that it also it comes also with a upside, because you just have to make decisions, right? You cannot wonder which menu you are providing then on the wedding party, for example. You just have to decide, and I think that's something that helps me, because decision making is really, or it's difficult, and you can struggle with it, and that helps me to just make decisions and then standing by them in a fast speed at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's a good one, and fingers crossed that everything goes well. So
I hope so.
It will. Why did you start or did your MBA?
Yeah, many people are asking me this, especially also some recruiters are, for example, outreaching on LinkedIn and asking me, hey, why did you do this MBA? Because I think there are not so many TA professionals out there that really went into doing an MBA. They probably stuck more to the HR field and studied in this, or psychology field. But for me, it was like an MBA provides very transferable skills. And there you can already see, I'm referring to this, what I said, like growth mindset, and having the ability to adapt within different roles, maybe within different industries. So it provides transferable skills, and I become more skilled in versatility, regardless of my industry or the job title. And yeah, and actually, to give you this, and maybe make a bit of an advertising for the school I'm alumni now. It's the Quantic School of Business and Technology. Not so well known, especially not in Europe, I would say. But it's fascinating because I think the founder also has some roots to Rosetta Stone. Rosetta Stone is also a language learning app, and you could tell when I was first on the platform and had this learning experience there, it was completely different. It was completely different learning that I had within my bachelor's, for example. It was just like it's a long distance learning from Germany, with a new US-based, Washington-based school. But the platform is just so cool. It's just really intuitive, and you have like you can see that there's great storytelling behind it. Because when I made the foundations course, so everybody can, by the way, can sign up and make the foundations course of the platform, and it just hooked me. So I remember one case, for example. You had to feel like you're a consultant of a Silicon Valley based startup in the food delivery space. And when I went through this lesson, I felt exactly like it just felt like I'm really the consultant of this startup. So that was kind of crazy, hooked me. Yeah, and then I applied the first time, got denied at the first time, and then I just went or stayed persistent, and then I applied the second time. I come in, and that's what it was really, really cool. Yeah, maybe just one last add, because I can already tell that you have another question for me.
Come on.
But maybe just one last thing here. I would also question to you and also to the audience, or more of an hot take from my side. So I would say, being a recruiter, being in talent acquisition, I would say there is not a function that gives you so much exposure to the business outside of being a general manager. Would you agree on?
Let me answer that question from a different perspective, and from the perspective why I'm still in recruiting, right? And I would say the thing is, yes, you have to do with a lot of different people, right? And not just when it comes to candidates and the personalities and the backgrounds and all what comes with that, but also when it comes, as you just mentioned, with the business. For example, then you support a colleague in the design space, right? In engineering and sales and pre-sales and post-sales and whatsoever, and on different levels. Then you talk to a first-line manager, a second-line manager, but then also when it comes, maybe you're talking to a VP or whatsoever. And the thing is also that as a recruiter, you are having quite a privileged situation or space, right? Or a role when it comes within the company you're in. Because for example, when I think about it, it would be different when I would be, for example, a direct report from a manager in consulting, right? Then I have a different connection or relationship with this person, and I could never speak to that person how I'm talking to such a person today in my role as a recruiter, right? So that's totally totally different, but also something which is kind of exciting, right? And something which, as of today, maybe that will change, but as of today, I don't want to give up, because it's kind of I would say the intro to such people is with being a recruiter easier than what I've just mentioned. Does it answer your question? I don't know. Let me know.
Yeah, because you mentioned one keyword for me, or one buzzword that came out of me, and you mentioned it was connection, right? And there we're still going back to this, let's say, like, concept of being a talent connector, because talent is not only like, you don't have to think like being a talent connector. And I would encourage everyone in the TA space or in the people space, and even outside of it, to be a talent connector, because you just don't have to think like only talent in this sense of candidates, so external talent. You can also think about it now in a way of internal talent. So if you're talking to your general manager, that's also like, and you see like why this candidate, for example, should speak to directly to another person within your organization, then that's for me exactly what I mean with talent connection. So that you have the ability to see who and why you have to connect them.
And at the end, I'm a general manager as a recruiter, right?
That's true as well. Yeah, it's like I know this notion that you like to say, like that you're like a, yeah, as you said, like a recruiter is you're a business owner in a sense, right? But that's exactly what I have meant with that's exactly what I've meant with the exposure that you have to the wider business, and that's also. Then I'm going back to the MBA. I think that's also something, and I have seen and I've also referenced. I think Kieran Dott, he's the VP Talent Acquisition of Preply, Ukraine company based or he's based in Spain. And I think it's quite interesting because when I listened to a podcast where he was like the guest, and he just said like he thinks like that more people with business acumen, with a business background will come in the future to TA, to talent acquisition, or to the people space in general. Then I would say I agree, because that's maybe also kind of a problem, and sorry that I'm elaborating on that, but that's maybe kind of a problem, is that people outside not working within TA, they have maybe sometimes a different view what TA is really look like, right? What it really is. Sometimes it's just like this thinking of that we are still like service providers, not only internally, but also with the relationship with the outside world. And I think we're already making great steps that we shape it in a different way, that recruiting or talent acquisition is not just a cost center, but really a growth center, let's say. Sorry that I elaborated on that, but that's really something that's important for me as well, to educate or inspire people out there to also think about recruiting as a field they could pivot to, or they could start their careers on. They could build great careers within the talent space. I'm 100% sure.
Yeah. 2 points, Sebastian. 1 point, growth center, like it, really good. Second, can you send me the link to the school? I might apply.
Yeah, you think like, okay, that's all what I've learned there. No, but that's like, I would say every individual has his own like growth journey, career story, and I think that's just like my thoughts. As I said, I'm very curious, and then if I find something, then I go also deep in it, and then I also have like, I feel like I have the responsibility to, if I really believe in it, then I also share it with others, and they already, of course, they also can think like that makes sense or that doesn't make sense. But for me, it's like, and I really appreciated that Kieran, for example, was saying this, his thoughts about how could our profession could change in the future.
Yeah. Maybe last question regarding your MBA. So you mentioned it, right? So you got denied the first time, and then you got in the second time. How did you approach that mentally, but also what did you do differently to get the acceptance in the second time?
Yeah, good question. What I did different, probably I reflected on it. I reflected why I got denied. To be honest here, I did not know why I got denied. Maybe stronger applicants. They really have like a, how is it called, access rate or something is really, really low. So there are many applicants and really low submission, or not submission, access rate, let's say. So I did not know the first time, but it didn't hinder me to think about it, why I really want to make this MBA. And I think then the second time, I just gave them really the reason why I applied. So I made like really storytelling, what I said to you before. What was it really? It was pretty simple, that the platform hooked me to this program, hooked me to this kind of learning, because it's very flexible, very modern way. And from there, what was the initial, like the initial point why it hooked me? I really thought deeply about it, why I want to do this MBA. And that's exactly what I said before, with the transferable skills, adaptability, business acumen, and so on. So yeah, I didn't like, it was not bad in a sense. I wasn't angry that I got denied. I was just thinking like more like, okay, what I have to do differently the next time when I apply? Because for me, it was clear, I want to get in, and I will get in.
Yeah, no, that's a really great perspective and mindset, right? So, but I mean, also as a foundation for that, having the ability to self-reflect, I think that's very, very important. And then, yeah, you did it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Perfect. Coming to another topic, you are...
I will rep you.
Thank you. You are quite an expert in it, right? But maybe also an expert who's just starting. So let's see where it goes. But personal branding, right, on LinkedIn. So that's it might be a buzzword, but is it really a buzzword? Tell us.
Yeah, that's the case how you define, let's say, like buzzword. But my take on it, because you said like, am I already an expert, or like expert in the making, or I don't know. I would say like, I'm definitely not an expert. It's just like that to be completely honest, I started this journey with personal branding, with being very active on LinkedIn. So not in a sense of engagement with other people, but really putting stuff out there, putting content out there, thinking about content creation and so on. I think I started mid-half year or something. So it's not it's not a year that I started. So I'm definitely not an expert and wouldn't claim the title for myself. But your question was, what does personal branding mean for me? So I think like, and that's for every profession, but I am at the moment a recruiter. I was thinking like, okay, there is this thing of, that's my reputation. And that's also my personal branding. And I think like personal branding is more like an intentional thing. So it's more like how you want people to see you, right? Reputation is, I would say, more think like you earn it. You don't have to speak about it, but you earn it in your daily doings, in every action that you take. You earn it, and then people claim on that reputation, or thinking about this is connected to, for example, Sebastian, he stands for, and he has that reputation. And the personal branding is more like grafting and shaping things intentionally, I would say. But that's not a bad thing, right? Because it's just like you put yourself out there with your thoughts, with your content. And yeah, there I hope like that's, I would say from content perspective, I would say like I'm definitely the guy who wants to inspire and educate. So if you look through my content, I wouldn't say like that's maybe something I will elaborate more on or pivot more on. I'm not like having the most entertaining content, for example. There are others who are very, very great and entertaining, but for me, it's almost like think about in a way of sense, what do you want to do with your content? What do you want to stand for with your personal brand? And that's like my core purpose, as I said in the beginning, helping others, and how I can help others with inspire them, hopefully, and educating them maybe also on some topics.
Yeah. How does your engagement on LinkedIn support your personal brand, or how you want to be seen?
Yeah. So, when I started on LinkedIn, and already now, if you see all those great LinkedIn or on every platform, every content creator, but especially now talking about LinkedIn because I'm just active there. It's at the beginning, especially, it's not about the content that you put out, but it's more about the engagement. And you can think of it, and that was just something I learned on the journey, that you can make content out of engagement. And what do I mean with engagement? Engagement is, for me, for example, it can start in the comment section. So I would encourage everyone to actively scroll through their feed. And if there is something that and even if it's just stopped you scrolling for a second or something, there must be something about it. And then just say it, why it stopped you scrolling, for example, or just make an engagement, a reaction with it, like it or share it or whatever. So that's from the consumer perspective. And from the other perspective, it's more like engage in the comment section, I would say, because that gives you so much exposure to many people. I'm not a friend of, there are like tactics, for example, that you have to ring the bell for really big LinkedIn creators, and then you have to stop by their profile 5 minutes after they put out a post. Not really a fan of that, to be honest. It also must suit your time plan and when you're doing it. And I think there's also statistics that it shows you that it's not that important that you be that fast, for example. But in the end, it's really about the quality. And what I mean with engagement here is like putting out their really meaningful comments, and people will see that will drive them to your profile, for example, telling your profile, your story. Then there's a higher chance that they will look also on your content. I hope that makes sense in a way of engagement. And of course, that's the most important part, engage in the direct message section, not only in the comment section, but if you then have somebody found who you want to speak with or dive deeper into some topics, then really make this. And again, and I'm referring to this a lot, I know it's like connection. In the end, it's engaging equals then connection.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And at the end, I think our connection is also quite good because you said yes to this conversation. So it worked out at the end. Good for that. But I'm wondering, when it comes to the approach of your engagement, I mean, not in the sense now of reacting to posts and leaving comments and so forth, right? But when it comes to your content, do you have kind of a content plan, or what is your approach?
Okay. Now I see what you mean. So I have a content plan, let's say, or I'm in the making. Sometimes I'm doing it differently, but more or less I have a content plan because I'm I would say like a very structured, very organized guy. You could tell if you would see all the notes that I made in preparation of this podcast. By the way, thank you for making it very comfortable for me because I was quite nervous at the beginning. But sorry, where my thoughts are wandering around. So regarding the content plan, basically you could think of different content types, let's say. And as I said, I want to be in this content type, especially for educating and inspiring. But there are other sections, as I said before, like, for example, entertaining or challenging. Doesn't mean that I don't want to challenge someone, but I wouldn't say like I'm at the moment really standing for always having contrarian takes or something on things. You could also go more in the direction of motivational content and so on. But to give you really like a screenshot, a snapshot, how I would do it, it's like think of the topics that you want to speak about. Maybe one thing, one big topic, for example, talent acquisition or recruiting in my case, and then think of subtopics around it. So you could think of process related, like kicking off a role, interviewing, stakeholder management, storytelling, sourcing, all those different things. Then you have subtopics, and then you still can niche down on those topics. So for example, structured interviews, unstructured interviews, so many things. So you can cascade down, I would say. But yeah, you just have to be clear right from the beginning who you want to stand or what you want to stand for, in a sense, what personal branding means to you, what content you would like that's connected to your personal brand, to your identity.
Yeah, that's a very good point also when it comes to your identity, right? Because at the end, it's not just content, it's your content. And when it comes also to the thought process, how to get, I mean, you just scratched it, right? How do you get inspired for new content, for new approaches or whatsoever? when it comes to that, what part does self-reflection play in that thought process?
It's a big part. So I would encourage everyone to just do that, and that doesn't mean that you have to put content out there, but journaling, or not journaling, but let's say like writing about things that are in your head. I found that so enriching my life, to be honest. So every time I think about something, and that's basically like reflecting on something, it helps me to write it down, or not to write it down maybe physically. You can write it down physically, you can write it down in your notes app digitally. And that's your question. I think it's a really main part, big part, because it helps me to reflect on it if I'm writing it down, if that makes any sense, because then I have to think like more. I have the feeling that I think even more deeply about it, right? And I give you just one example. One of my, I would say, best performing posts was, and that was really something where I heavily self-reflected, because it was a big failure that I did as a recruiter. So I, excuse my French, but I fucked up a candidate experience for one candidate. And we don't want to talk through the whole process, but it's like we get there in the end. So it was all good, but thinking about it more deeply and really writing about it, and maybe putting yourself out there and also showing that, hey, everybody makes mistakes. It's just how you're dealing with it. In my mind was like, even if one human being out there is inspired by this, that somebody shows maybe more a bit of vulnerability, and shows that failure is human nature. It's just how you deal with it. That was key when I was publishing this content. And by the way, maybe last thing about that, I was then also asked internally, so that was back then at Personio, I was internally asked about sharing this story in our company All Hands. So because it was like self-reflecting, and we made a campaign around self-reflecting, feedback, and so on. And I think, and that's also something really cool, that your content out there can get you also some visibility inside. Maybe they're thinking like, hey, that's the guy who's putting himself out there, creating hopefully inspiring content, and we can use that. We could use that internally as well. Hope that answers your question, and sorry for elaborating.
No, all good. I mean, this podcast is about different perspectives, so why not sharing them when they are there, right? But sure. I think it's a very important message, right? Vulnerability, dealing with that proactively, and also being self-aware that it's okay to be vulnerable. And I think, to be honest, when it comes to personal development per se, right, not just professionally, but also personally wise, without vulnerability and without self-reflection, right, but without vulnerability, and when I say vulnerability and combined with personal development, I also mean up and downs, right? So having a down, you are vulnerable, right? Deal with that proactively and come out stronger. So yeah, that's a very important message. So thank you for sharing that.
100% agree on that.
I'm wondering, when I started, or when I thought about starting a podcast, right? It was like, okay, there are so many podcasts out there. Why me? Why I? How do I even start? Am I good enough? Whatsoever, right? Did you think, or how did you overcome thoughts of I'm not good enough when it comes to your content and being more engaged and out there and sharing your thoughts, perspectives?
Yeah, I like that question, because to be honest, as a follower of your podcast, I could reference you here, because that was a great reference, or a great quote from you, because you also said in another podcast episode, like, yeah, there are so many different podcasts out there, but not mine, not me, not with my intention, not the way I would do it, or what I'm thinking, what I want to share. And that's exactly the same for me, to be honest, because you're unique. Everybody out there is unique, right? And everybody, I really believe in it, that everybody can tell something very whether it be inspiring, entertaining, motivating, and so on and so on. So that helps me personally to keep going. You always have like cycles, like downsides also as a content creator. Sometimes when you feel like, oh, that was such a great piece and I just have out, there's just 1-2 likes, I don't know, out there. But it's not about that, because it's really about maybe somebody is not engaging with your comment, but I have heard it a lot that they popped up in my inbox and said like, well, that was a great piece. And I was thinking like, okay, why didn't you like it then? So you have to you don't have to go away a bit from vanity metrics like likes, views, and so on and so on. You really have to think of like, you're telling something unique. And of course, you hope that that's inspiring for someone out there. But yeah, of course, I would say like, of course, dealing with imposter syndrome or am I not good enough? That's can always pop up. But one last thing about that, I would say that's also okay. So that's something I'm missing in this conversation, that you just think of like, that's okay. So for example, if somebody is nervous like me before of this podcast, I was also thinking like, why are you interviewing me in this episode when you interviewed, I don't know, for example, LDK, Chief People Officer at Intercom. So am I right here in this content series? But it's not about that, right? It's not about that. You invited me for a reason, and I think it's also good that I was nervous, because that also shows that I was really keen on having this conversation.
Nothing to add. You made it on the point.
Cool. Nice.
What are your thoughts about the role of having and leveraging your network for a successful personal brand?
Don't know exactly what you mean by it. If you mean by it, like, because there's also a trend, especially on LinkedIn, that leveraging your personal network would be something like, hey, look, I will post on this time with this content. Can you like it? So you make it like a circle of different creators that are supporting each other, commenting, and so on. And maybe they're gaining through this practice more reach and so on. Then I would say like that's not something I would strive for, because don't get me wrong, it's cool to have like an accountability partner, for example, and of course it's always cool to have someone who cheers you up if you are down or if you're a bit of like, why I'm doing this stuff. But in the end, it's also for me really about connection again. So sorry that I'm mentioning again, but that's leveraging your network. It's like, I don't know, if you read, for example, the book Give and Take by Adam Grant, really, really good. It's really like give and take. Really think about what's in for them, how you could help them. It's about them. So, and then I'm pretty certain that it also will come back to you, will help you. But that's for me like what I would subsumize under leveraging my network. And just tactically, of course, that can help you so many ways. Personal branding can help you in, for example, if you want to make career moves, if you want to get into conversations with people who you're thinking like, how could I reach them? It has so many benefits in my in my opinion, and yeah, sounds cliche, but in the end, it's really like that your network is your net worth, but your network relies on the connection that you make to people, about relations that you have built with people.
Yeah. Coming maybe a little bit a hard cut, but good comments. But
oh my,
you've been laid off, right? And nowadays, especially in the tech industry, there are a lot of layoffs happening. So happening, and there might be more coming, right? And I'm wondering, right? So to be honest, I haven't been laid off so far, and I think the most important thing to say up front is there's no judgment at all, right? So whoever has been laid off, it doesn't need to have because of them, right? So there are a lot of factors which are influencing and so on. So just as a general statement. But did you expect it?
That's actually, Christian, a really hard cut. Let's say, like from personal branding to laid off, but to make this connection.
I'm sorry to
but
yeah, I was working and I was thinking about the bridge, but no, I couldn't. So
hey, Christian, but we are a bridge makers, bridge builders as recruiters. No, but just kidding, because it's a really sensitive topic, but to make this connection about personal branding and so on, and being laid off, and not personal branding, personal development, personal growth. Sounds cliche again, but it is really like this. If you're desperate, or if you're, how can I say it, if your failure, or that's the point where you learn the most out of it. And that's also for me, to be honest. It's kind of fresh still when I got laid off, and I think it was end of October, beginning of November last year. So it's still fresh in my mind, absolutely. But I learned so much on it. And to be honest, I'm still learning much about it. And yeah, but your question was if I expected it. I was probably naive in a sense, because we grew the talent acquisition department at Personio back then quite heavily, and I was also like a force in it, because I started my journey at Personio as recruiter's recruiter, how I called me back then. So I scaled the department as well, and also don't want to bore you that much with the details, but especially also like in other companies, it's like that the headcount growth rate is going down. So we're expecting less headcount growth for a certain period of time. And then, of course, if you have too much resources on the talent acquisition team, then you have to think about how you can reduce the workforce here. Did I expect it? I was naive. No, I did not expect it, because, and I can give you also a reason why, because I got laid off on a higher performance rating than the 7 months ago when I was promoted. So my performance rating was higher when I got laid off than when I got promoted. And that was something for me, like I couldn't sense, right? So, because you can always say in the sense of layoffs, yeah, that's business decisions, it's business related, it's not related to your individual performances and so on. But I tell you what, it's like being no longer needed feels very personal, and you cannot deny that, in my opinion. So I did not expect it, but not only because of performance things and so on, because I think that I was a great ambassador of the company and the culture, and my colleagues as well. But I could not, sense that in the next year, so in 2023 now, I would be in another company, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing that personal story, right? What impact did it have on you mentally, but also when it comes to your mental health?
Yeah, as I said before, even if you think about it like it's a business decision, but it feels personal. So that was definitely an impact, because, and I think I can give you here also an example, because the last day I was in the office back then, how do you feel? How do you think I felt? I felt ashamed. And that was crazy for me, because why should I blame myself or shame myself, But it was the feeling I had when I was on the last day in the office. And what I want to say with that, of course, it's for me, the thing is here, during layoffs, there's no one non-impacted. The ones that got laid off, but also the ones retained, right? But for the ones that got laid off, it's like a cycle of grief. So, I just want to encourage, and that's the message for me here, that everybody can cope with it on their own pace and their own style, but just let those emotions also out. So don't be like, it's also what we said before, like maybe vulnerability, but it's really important that you are being true to yourself, and that you, yeah, as I said, everybody can cope on it in their own style, in their own way. Yeah, what helped me was then that I had support. So that was also why I the first thing I did after being getting laid off, I was thinking like, there is so much more also in life than just tie your identity and everything in your life to a job. So the first thing I was doing, I was going to a goldsmith and made that ring done for my future wife. And yeah, because that was another signal for me, like, she's always there, right? She's always there for me, always supporting me, helping me, and she's not defining myself, who I work for or what am I doing. It's just like, who am I as a human being? Who am I as a person? And then I end with that. It's always, don't, during layoffs, not only during layoffs, but especially during this hard time, it's like, don't let yourself think about that you are not worthy, or that you have to feel ashamed or anything like that. And I hope that most people are really having helping hands during such a difficult time.
Yeah.
Also a disclaimer, or also another note, if there is somebody out there, I don't know, in the audience, that helped me, for example, to just talk through it with others who are in the same situation or who experienced it the same. So just can say it here also, my inbox is always open. So just if you want to talk with it, or just want to have someone who experienced it as well, and just want someone who listens and can relate to that, then of course just shoot me, for example, on direct message on LinkedIn.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that also. And today I'm quite bad with building bridges, so I might need to have another hard cut. But maybe as a last topic of today, and before we're going to that, I really appreciate the openness and the also vulnerability, right, when it comes to that. So thank you for that. I think it's quite important also to talk about this topic quite, not openly from someone else's perspective, but also that this topic is not something which has to be talked about behind doors, right? So thank you for that.
100%.
Yeah. The Talent Connector playbook. So sneak peek, what is it?
Oh, Christian, you have insights that I don't know about. Oh my God, there is like the bridge, or I don't know, that you have some bridges that got you that sneak peek. No, but as I said, I want to be seen. That's kind of my personal brand as a talent connector, because as I said, talent connection is a really important thing for me. And with the Talent Connector playbook, I'm thinking like bring something out there to help others. So it will be like, because I'm a huge fan of the app, of the software piece Notion. So I don't know if you know it. It's basically, every time somebody asks me what's Notion, I cannot explain it because it's so much. So it's basically like a workspace individually, or also for whole businesses to manage, store everything, to organize yourself, let's say, like. And my thought was like bring something out, hopefully helpful resource in the form of a Notion workspace, where you can see exactly my process that helped me during my recruiting journey. So that helped me, for example, I don't know, the big topic to make really meaningful connections with others, building relationships with candidates, and hiring teams, shaping remarkable candidate experience, and so on. But it's really like my exact process that I followed, for example, to get promoted within 1 year, to have a 100% offer acceptance rate in 2021. So I don't want to brag about that, but it's just like my offer to ease recruiter lives, let's say, like with the playbook that I still use today. So if I'm assigned to a new role, I use exactly the same resource. And that's just something like I wanted to build a first digital product in a way put it myself out there, and I can already say, and that's hopefully another cool thing, it will be for free. So of course you can test it. It's just a free resource out there to help others, and as I said, to ease recruiter lives out there.
Yeah. So last question regarding that: when will it be available? You nailed you down here, so you know.
Yeah, I should have known that this question could come. So let me say it like this: I'm really in the final steps. So there is no officially published date at the moment, but I'm really in the final steps. So I'm pretty sure that I will come out or publish it, come out with it in March. So but stay tuned. As I said, maybe you want to follow me on LinkedIn, then you don't you won't miss it. But yeah, that's at the moment final steps, and almost certainly published in March.
So the sneak peek was well used. So congratulations, Sebastian.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for giving me like this platform. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, really cool for that. But I liked it because you're a recruiter as well, and you're also someone who likes to help others, right? And so you helped me to help others, right? So you provided me a platform to, in a sense, advertise this free resource, and so I have to thank you, Christian.
And that's the spirit, helping everyone, and in every situation. Last question from my side: self-awareness, self-reflection. We already covered that a little bit, but mental health, recharging, and purpose. Buzzword bingo or what?
We're here again with the buzzword. Still on how do you find a buzzword? I would say, and I think you asked this also some others on your podcast already. To be honest, I can just say here the same. It's like walk the talk, right? It's really like you have to live up to those things. You have to live up to the purpose you're claiming for yourself, or organizations, for example, are claiming for themselves. So they can be buzzwords if not lived up to it, if not really walk the talk, right? But it's also connected to each other in a way. So, for example, recharging, that's connected to mental health. Purpose, in my opinion, stands above all, let's say, like, so it directly have effects on all of that topic. So but if you ask me, one of my favorite one from that would be still self-reflection, because that's so important to be good at self-reflecting and to be true to yourself.
Yeah. No, thank you for your thoughts. And maybe for that, we are at the end of our conversation, right? But over to you for the last words.
Oh my gosh. I just want to thank you again, Christian, because as I said in this podcast, I really enjoy what you're doing. I think you're providing tremendous value with this podcast. And what stands out to me, really, that you're just not another podcast out there, but you claim to be really authentic, having authentic conversations. That's just awesome. And you're helping, and I'm certainly sure that you're inspiring others with it. So thank you for that. And just ending this podcast, and I think that goes for both of us. So I believe, and that's my motto is clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. So, and I leave it with that.
Thank you for your time, Sebastian. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Christian. Goodbye. Take care.